What up, everyone? Pat Mayo here with your Thanksgiving Day slate, DraftKings Picks, and preview. Obviously, we don't have the entire amount of information yet, especially pertaining to the very Sunday night hammer game in terms of Pittsburgh and Baltimore, just with a lot of COVID-19 positive tests for the Ravens. We're not entirely sure who's in or who's out. We know, as of right now, Mark Ingram is out. We know that J.K. Dobbins is out. There could be more added. We also don't know if Juju's going to play on the other side, too. So the big thing you need to ask yourself right away, where it's a 3-game slate, but unlike a lot of smaller slates, this is like a playoff one where there is some value into knowing information early, and you can do that through stacking the first game. It is the highest total game, so it's probably the game that you should be going to. Obviously, that the Texan side of the ball with Deshaun, with Fuller, with Cooks is probably the way you want to go. Maybe Jordan Akins is someone you can slot in. No Randall Cobb, no Kenny Stills. Maybe Kiki Cutie is a way to save money. But if you want to get contrarian, the Detroit side of the game, even with Stafford's thumb, not sure about Kenny Galladay playing or not. Doesn't look like Danny Amendola is going to be in. Hopefully DeAndre Swift is back. There's a lot of concerns about that game as it pertains to the injury report. So it might keep people off. There's a chance that both Detroit and Dallas end up being the two lowest owned teams on this slate. And in a small slate where you can take your chances early. If you want to take a low owned wide receiver or tight end, the move is in a small slate to do it in the earliest game possible. Because if they hit, you can use your late swap option on DraftKings to go onto the more chalkier plays later on. If they don't hit, you know you're behind the 8 ball. So let's say you have, who's going to be super chalky? Gus Edwards in the last game, as long as he's playing, is going to be one of the chalkiest running backs on this slate. If he ends up in your lineup and you've missed on Jason Agnew or whoever it might be at the very bottom of your roster, or a Kiki Cutie, and he ends up low owned and he busts out as well, you can no longer play Gus Edwards if you want to have a chance to win this game. Only because everyone else is using him, so everyone else you're trying to catch up to likely also has Gus Edwards in their lineup. You have to be using the late swap on the Thanksgiving Day slate. That's why I think that you should take your sleepers in the early games. That way you'll have the information to know whether they've hit or whether they haven't hit, and whether you're playing from ahead or from playing from behind. That is valuable information, and you can find that out by just playing a few guys, especially low-owned guys, low-price guys, in the very first games. For overall picks, I think there are probably, if DeAndre Swift plays, he is a must-play on this slate. If you are looking at the receiver position, then Terry McLaurin is going to be a must-play player on this slate. Those are really the main two guys. And even if Juju ends up playing, frankly, I think that Deontay Johnson is probably also a must-play player on this slate. And Gus Edwards, as it's shaping up because of the price point, you're not going to find all of that great of value at running back, is probably also a must-play. The problem is everyone knows that you have to play these guys. It's where do you go different? I mentioned Jason Agnew. I think he is a very realistic play here. If Danny Amendola sits, he is the mint. Kiki Cutie, another one at $3,400 with Randall Cobb out. If you want to play a Deshaun Watson stack and you throw in either Fuller or Cooks, Cooks is also someone who's going to be very highly owned on this slate, but a way to get away from that is don't use Will Fuller, don't use Jordan Akins, use Kiki Cutie in that spot instead. Then all of a sudden you're looking a little bit better. In the Washington game in Dallas, Gallup is going to be pretty popular because people are going to get on him. Cam Sims, who ran almost 80% of the routes last week, didn't score the touchdown. Steve Sims did, but Cam Sims is the one who's on the field more, $3,300. These are the type of players that break open this slate, and they're the ones that you have to go seek out. So you have to pick your poison in some of these spots. Just don't jump on the popular low-price guy unless he's an absolute lock like Gus Edwards to receive 20 touches. But at receiver, that never actually happens. You have the pay-down tight end. Well, that's never going to be a good spot. If 50% of the people all own Logan Thomas, you probably shouldn't play Logan Thomas. Just go to the other side of the ball and play Dalton Schultz at slightly more expensive price at 150 ownership. That is the way that you have to think about these type of slates. On a full-end slate, where there's 14 games or 10 games, like the main slate this weekend in Week 12, that's a different story. You can basically play whoever you want, and your lineup's not going to be duplicated. When there are finite options on a slate, and only so many different lineup combinations work, you have to get a little bit trickier going through it. Like, for example, Deshaun Watson has been taking fewer sacks recently, but if you play Agnew, Agnew returns punts for the Lions. If you play the Lions defense, they're super cheap. And let's be real here. Watson's not immune to taking sacks or turning the ball over. Plus, Detroit is at home. But what if they get a punt return touchdown? Then you get double points for having the Lions at $2,200. No one is playing the Lions. It's like if you play the Cowboys defense, maybe you play CeeDee Lamb because he also returns kicks for them. That maybe you can cash in that way. Those are the little edges that you need to be looking for on a very small slate like Thanksgiving. So keep that in mind. You can check out my cheat sheet up on dkplaybook.com on Wednesday. If you want the full DraftKings breakdown, go to Mayo Media Network. I have that up there right now for DraftKings and an entirely separate show for the betting side and game previews for the Thanksgiving slate. Other than that, I'm Pat Mayo. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you next time.